my mother gifted me this deck, said you'd have to read for yourself at times, you will read for me at times, and we will discuss the translation, the meaning of each card, and really seeing what the artist interprets as well. Because every deck that is designed, the author also puts in their own interpretation. And so, since I'm very much a communal person, I will not just take my translation as gospel. I will look into what the creator did as well, and what I feel from you, and what you're asking. So it's multiple layers of things happening at once when you read. And so it's gradual. So I think you have to, yes, read about tarot, understand what every card kind of symbolizes, the basicness of each card, and then how do you connect them? And so a lot of the practice was, in certain times, we would just, make the coffee, sit down, and do the practice. It's very good for you to read on a daily basis, one card, energy for the day, what do you need to work on today? Or you can do 3 cards, past, present, and future, about a question you have, how do you feel about something. So those are ways to really practice. It's your energy that you're putting into it. It's your question. Now you have to be objective looking at this. Because, yes, there have been times in my life that I was told things or I was shown things, and I'm just like, nope, not going to listen today. Not going to look at it today. And that brings suffering.
Because you wouldn't want to face the truth, or? Yeah,
we're human. It's very hard to face oneself. Even when it's right in front of you. Come on.
Right.
Like, it happens. And so that's where suffering comes in. And you suffer. And then you learn.
So it's releasing your will.
Yeah.
And deflating your ego to, I guess, the laws of the universe. Is that correct?
I guess that's a great interpretation. I would say is what I'm saying, because you have to find balance. I would never say that I want to destroy a part of myself. No, then that would not be loving me. I just have to face the mirror every day and accept that I have an ego. It's there, but I can not feed the ego. There was a Native American proverb my father told me about 2 wolves inside a man. And he asks his father or grandfather, which one do you feed? We're all from Novi Sad, Serbia. And my grandmother vouched and helped for our process to immigrate to this country February 20th, I believe, in 86. And so we lived in Carbondale, Illinois. And so you can kind of relate that my mom at this point was learning the language, finishing her master's at Southern Illinois University, and then all of a sudden her daughter has 103 fever and is diagnosed with cancer. So my father and my mom are like, now what? Ironically, which is another reason why my mom believes that I am here in St. Louis right now, is because the only treatment available for chemotherapy during that time was in St. Louis Children's Memorial Hospital. So my mom had to learn how to drive, because she didn't know how to drive then, and go back and forth for my chemo treatments. And then I was in remission by age 5. And then from there, we moved to Chicago, where I was raised.
So you believe and feel because she lives this kind of lifestyle that she manifested. Do you think that played into any of it? Your healing?
Oh, I'm going to get real deep real quick.
Good. That's what I want.
Okay. So my mother has a soul mission. My father has a soul mission.
Does everybody have a soul mission?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And I did too. So we chose, in my belief, you're chosen what time, where, who our parents are, and our obstacles. We learn the greatest lessons through our obstacles, and honestly, it is the greatest blessing.
Even though we don't think of it as so at that time.
Correct. But I've always liked to read in a positive sense of a reading. But yeah, there's been many instances in my life where I've physically seen things that I cannot explain. And so...
What, can you give me an example, one or two of those?
It's kind of funny. I wanted to be an angel for Halloween once. And there were these beautiful goose feather wings that was made. I remember that it was, quite expensive for, a Halloween costume.
Pretty elaborate costume.
So I asked my mom, and of course my mom was like, we don't have that much for Halloween. So I prayed and visualized and fully believed that if that is what I want to be for Halloween, that will happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
You let it go. You go to school. You think nothing of it. And I'm walking through an alley, heading right to my home. And there, in the dirt, in the alley, was $100.
Right.
Not even a few days from praying and asking and hoping. And, some people will think, well, it was luck. But I think that we are capable of many things. And visualizing and manifesting what we desire in our reality is totally possible. And that was a physical example of that. I think that we are capable of many things. And visualizing and manifesting what we desire in our reality is totally possible. And that was a physical example of that.
Yeah, luck could be if it happens once or twice. But if you see it happening over and over again throughout the course of your life, then you know it's something on a different plane.
Yeah, I saw the movie The Secret.
Mm-hmm.
It was so popular. It was like all over the place. Again, about manifestation.
Right.
And so I did in the film, it says to try a cup of coffee. Just get a free cup of coffee. So I visualized it. I visualized how it was going to happen. And it was basically I was going to go into a cafe and they're like, oh, it's this special for today, so you get a free, coffee. And I was like, oh my goodness. It is happening. That's kind of my little motto when I just see things just coming into fruition and just letting it happen. I'm just like, it's happening. It's happening. It's not in just one scripture, so I'm not going to say that because I've read about Judaism and Christianity, a little bit on Islam, still continuing my study in that. But in various scriptures that talk just about angels, they say that one way to ask in visualization, they will send you pennies and feathers. You'll see it anywhere. And it's just for you to kind of know, in a sense, that you are being guided and your ancestors are with you at this point. And I found that very, very powerful because when I did ask, and I do see pennies now, and I do see feathers, it just reminds me that I am in the flow, I'm on path, and I just walk my path. Not in the sense of being lost or not knowing what to do. It gives you that reassurance of, yes, everything is good and where it ought to be.
Is there a set amount of lives that one will live before they pass on to eternity and never return to Earth?
That I don't know.
No.
I think that's every soul's decision.
So we get to decide as a soul.
Because God is collective. So, in my belief, if you go through a life and you get to be with the universe, you get to be with God again, and then they say, hey, you got to go back. It's not like you're going to deny that because you have more to learn. So then you will go. I believe that in ascension is like a level of high enlightenment and you move to another level or another dimension. I cannot say that it doesn't exist.
So we keep on coming to Earth until we get it right and then we can move on.
Yes. When you do a natal chart in astrology, the natal chart is a blueprint of your soul when it came into existence on your birth day, the date, the year, and the time, and the location. When you do that, it states in mathematical formula where all the planets were at the time of that. When you see that, yes, when you have all of that information, they can technically go backwards and give you an estimated theory of when your first soul incarnation came.
By our birthday today that we're living in now.
Yes, you would have to seek an astrologer for that. I'm actually ready to study astrology. I will not be able to read anyone's astrological charts until 5 years from now.
How many past lives have you had?
From my research with my mother, it is said that my first soul existence was during Babylon.
Do you have any visions or recollection from that time?
Just watch Game of Thrones. It's a great example.
So that's pretty true to life.
Back then, oh yeah. 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 Yeah, it was very bad.
What's the do people tend to have the same kind of social structure throughout their life, or sometimes they could be royalty, sometimes they could be slaves? Okay, so
it's like, I mean, have you seen Ready Player One?
no.
Okay, great. You need to watch that. Very
Ready Player One.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and what is that?
It's a great film, blending with sci-fi, but again, I think it's a great example of if you're in a video game and you could design the video game anywhere you want, that's what you do. Say, I want to be at this time frame, in this existence, with this kind of consciousness, so that I can go over all these obstacles, and these are all the obstacles, and when I get to through all these levels, we'll see how I turn out at the end.
So are our deaths preordained? Like, is my death already determined?
Now, that's tough, because it's said in astrology that you can look up when you'll die. Like, literally.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have free will, isn't it so that if we do work on ourselves and we do face our mission, can we not extend that? I would say the reading that meant the most to me was a woman I did not know at all. I did a reading for, and she asked about her husband and his state, because he is fighting cancer. And I read it, and she gave me this look of real understanding that she could get through it, no matter what the outcome was. Even though in that reading, it actually looked very like a long process. It's not going to be just gone, you know. And I just still remember her reaction. That's what really meant to me, is that she felt the satisfaction of just really understanding where she's at, and that she's capable of going through such a hard obstacle with the man that she loves. That was the most recent, and that was a few months ago. You have to be ready to ask, and then you must understand, I'm not interpreting anything that you want to hear. I'm going to say it in the most uplifting possible, but if there is negative, I'll tell you how to overcome that. But you gotta accept that, because you asked.
So I shuffle these.
With a question in your mind. A very specific question in your mind. And then when you are ready with the shuffling, you'll then just divide the deck into 3.
So shuffle them however I want?
Correct.
And then I just put them out in 3s.
Yes. And then you stack it however you want. Perfect. You're ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this is what's called a Celtic cross. It's a standard format. Many tarots do. Every placement of the card has a meaning, and then every card has a meaning. So first is always the foundation of your question.
Okay.
And then everything else surrounding it influences it. And again, by your free will. So in the beginning, we have Tara. That is 0, which is the Fool. And it's like you said, it's time for the start of a great journey. Innocence that allows one to be open to blessings, new beginnings, optimism and trust, feeling protected by the divine forces. So like you said earlier, it is about that you've made a decision to start on a new phase, and that you know that whatever is around you, it is positive. You listened to your inner gut, and this is the decision you made. Now what is covering you, and I call this the veil. Many people have said that. And the veil is kind of like the things that you don't want people to know. It is what is covering you. It's something that some will see and some won't. And so if you see the card, it is these two women in agony, and it is oppression. Both of these are major arcana cards. So in regular, you have the Fool, which is the innocent, starting a journey, but then you also have, in this tradition, it's called the Tower, which is chaos. So what is covering you is feeling overwhelmed by oppression, by circumstance, or by emotion. Depression has left your life, the light that has left your life. You are waiting to be released from your darkness, a new start after a painful ending that may have shattered your view of the world, a pause before moving into the new phase of your life. So right now, what is over you is your past. Something of your past that you need to overcome, that you need to face, or what is depression, which is this feeling of it, and you must face and overcome that so that your new life can begin. It's the same as when you start a new lifestyle. You don't go hardcore intermittent fasting and you do keto and you go 4 or 5 days a week to the gym, and then all of a sudden you have that plan, but you stay at home and you drink soda and eat donuts and you just think in your mind you're going to do all that, but you don't. Why? It's from a state of lack. So there's something over you, and you'll know inside. You can go into meditation and ask specifically, you have to say, I am ready to address the lack within me. Why do I believe I am not worthy? Where does this come from? You let it go, you meditate, and probably in the next few days, the universe will bring it to you. And then you can face it, if you are ready to do that. But that is something covering. What is above?
And if that never comes, if I never get rid of the lack, then I will never...
You'll start a phase of your life, but it's like a pattern repeating. It's like if you never got over the habit of chewing your nails, then even as an adult and you have kids, you're chewing your nails in front of them because you just never got over that pattern.
Okay, I got it.
So 6 of Swords is what is coming from above, and that is usually on a transition. You're gonna go somewhere and travel, maybe. Transitions that go smoothly. New knowledge that helps one grow and move beyond current limitations. So the universe is going to bring you that. The lessening of difficulties. Travel in order to gain distance from your difficulties. Detachment as so to be better understanding of a situation, and healing. So the universe in the next 3 to 6 months is going to give you several opportunities for you to be able to do that and detach. And so you'll almost feel like you're on this ride if you do not physically actually travel. You may get an impromptu to travel somewhere, and it will kind of bring in reminders of things that, need addressing, and you're like, I got to get to that. And
So in the 3 to 6 months, I'll be traveling somewhere.
possibly. Or internally. But it's about giving you... you see that she's on a boat with all those swords with her. So she's fully stocked with things. And so it's on a, even on an emotional level, you may be internally going on a trip and
Gotcha.
detaching from past pain, past trauma, or whatever it is, so that you can overcome it. What's your most recent past is Queen of Cups. Cups is of water, and it is of emotion. And this one is a court card, so it's more of a mature. It's not a princess, it's a queen. And usually this is kind of talking about your feminine side. So every individual, I believe, has a masculine and feminine for our balance of our energy in our bodies.
So reincarnation, do we come back as men and women?
Yes.
Okay.
You would not be able to go through all the obstacles in just one way. In the most coming future, so again, 3 to 6, you're going to have a lot of communication. 10 of Staves is always what's in the air. It's almost like a nice little fence in the sun here. So it's the accumulation of the creative venture begun with 1 of Staves, success that becomes overwhelming with its responsibility. The final vision is within reach, but work can be oppressive. So again, we have to go back to that. It's you get the opportunity of where you want to go, and now you're in the plane, but now you're going to complain that you're in the plane. Why on earth would you complain?
Right.
I don't know many personally that do this consistently or as a business. I don't. I generally, just focus on me and reading friends and family, and then people by appointment.
Awesome.
Yeah, my true goal is to give back in this way, to give insight to others when they are ready.
Who might have longing questions that...
Correct. Yeah, I don't have any desire whatsoever to convert or get anyone interested. This is a part of my humanitarian experience, to give. I think we all have that need and wish to give to others, to help the next generation, to see people through hard times. And this is one way through my spiritual practice that I do that.
Since being at death's door at a young age, you're probably more appreciative and...
I was very aware after remission. I would tell my mom where things were. I would tell her she would get a phone call. 3 seconds later, the phone would ring. I would tell her that, so-and-so wants to hear from you. Call them. Oh, I was just thinking about you. It's funny that you're calling.
And what is that? Is that tapping into...
That's tapping into your unconsciousness, and I think that, again, we all have this gift of telepathy. We always have that in our intuition. When we know something is wrong, something's off about a person, we haven't heard from them in a long time, so we check on them. Why do we do that? Why do we have this like aching feeling, I gotta talk to my mom right now, there's something wrong, there's something that happened? Where does that come from? No one's been able to really logically define what that is. There's so many stories, and what about all those people that have gone through tragic events where, moms lifting up cars? So I'll give you my summary. I have been in many lives of bondage. And in this life, I am my own boss. I am in the driver's seat. I am making every decision, and I am fully aware of all the responsibility of that decision. And I am constantly working to love myself as I do unto others, and not to be shortchanged anymore, and not be manipulated, and not taken for granted, and being addressed by the worth of myself as Fedra. That is the life I'm going to live because I choose it and I say it. So as it is, and so it will be. And that's what I need to do now for me. I am no more the second hand. I am the queen of my reality.